Before I actually became a coach, I had no idea what I was doing at the gym. Yeah, I was consistent sometimes. Yeah, I would train hard. Yeah, I had some muscle, but I never really knew what it took to truly build a physique. I was winging it. And only once that became evident to me, I spent hundreds, if not thousands of hours studying the best practices. What do I need to know to get into the best shape of my life and to help other people get into the best shape of theirs? And it's all come down to a set of basic fundamentals. There's so much information online, so much bullshit out there, but when you strip it all down, you figure out, you realize that it only comes down to the basic few things, which is exactly what I'm going to show you in this video. Before we start, headphones locked in, crack open a Monster. And without further ado, let's get right into it, boys. So I've just come back from a run, and if you've been watching the Instagram stories, this was my third run in 1 week. But prior to this, I hadn't run in like 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Like, I don't even know it's that bad. And everything that I'm going to show you in this video, all the basic fundamentals, all the core principles, they only really matter and they only mean something if you actually do it. And I know what a lot of you are thinking, we'll do it. I'm going to do it. You know, you give me the answers, I'll follow through. And that's fine for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month even, because I know the pattern. You'll be consistent for that long and then you'll vanish. And then a few weeks later, you'll get a late night surge of motivation. You'll be like, do you know what? I'm going to be disciplined now. I know what to do. I've watched that video. Itai showed me exactly what I need to do. Let me just follow it this time. Let me just do it. And you start again. And then you're actually consistent for a day, a month, 3 months. But then you go away for the weekend, or work gets in the way, or you miss one session and you fall off yet again, vanished. And so I know what it's like for this to happen. I'm 27 now, but from the ages of 14 up until 24, I was not consistent. I started my journey at the gym at David Lloyd in Bushy, where my dad used to take me there before school. He used to show me a few bicep exercises, chest. We used to hit it, and it was good. But I never stayed consistent. I was always on and off. There was always something that got in the way. So I know exactly what it's like to vanish and then reappear and then vanish again. And so this is a massive problem. This is an issue. However, if you watch till the end of the video, I'm going to give you the solution to this problem. The way I and all of my clients stay consistent and stop falling off. Now we're going to run through the core principles, the fundamentals of you actually building muscle in the gym. And it's going to start with probably the most obvious one, the most obvious thing is training hard. Now, I've always trained hard at the gym. I never had a problem with training hard. The only issue is I never had a definition of training hard. Like, what is training hard? To me, training hard was going to the gym, jumping on any exercise, any machine, any whatever that I see that's free, push myself, start sweating, feel the pain in my biceps or in my chest, and then put the weight down. But we need to know what training hard is actually like in order to do it. If you don't know what training hard is, then you're going to go to the gym and you're going to waste all this effort that you're putting in. You think you're training hard, but in reality, if you're not seeing the results, this is one of the fundamentals that you could be getting wrong. Okay, so training hard and building muscle comes down to this. You need enough stimulus to the muscle in order for it to grow. If the muscle is not getting any stimulus or near enough what it needs, then you are not ripping it apart and it will not rebuild afterwards. And so how do we get to a point where we are stimulating the muscle? And it's a very simple equation. We look at the reps in reserve. So when you perform a movement, let's say you do 10 repetitions, and from the 10th repetition, you put the weight down and you ask yourself, how many reps do I have in reserve? RIR is reps in reserve. And if the answer is, I've got 5 reps in reserve, it's going to be a little bit too light for you, or you need to do a few more repetitions. If you say, I've got 10 reps in reserve, then the weight is most definitely too light for you. And I would highly recommend to increase the weight if you're looking to build muscle, which I assume that's what you're trying to do if you're on this page and watching this video right now. So what is the sweet spot? What is the RIR that we need to hit in order to know that we're training hard, we're training close to failure, and we're going to give the muscle enough stimulus for it to grow? 1 to 4 repetitions. You put the weight down and you ask yourself, how many repetitions have I got in reserve? If the answer is anywhere between 1 and 4, you've hit the sweet spot. You are going to consistently build muscle if you are doing this over and over again. Now, for each set, it might be slightly different because as you do a set, your muscle gets fatigued. Let's say you perform the incline chest press and then you do 10 reps. You might have 4 reps in reserve. Fantastic. Which means for the consecutive sets afterwards, you might have 3 reps in reserve or 2 reps in reserve or even 1 rep in reserve. And you might find that you're going to failure, which basically means you have 0 reps in reserve. And that's generally fine. I wouldn't recommend doing it all the time because you might get too fatigued. It's fine doing it all the time on your last set, but also another reason why it's actually good to go to failure sometimes, if not at least every session, is to help you gauge your reps in reserve better. As humans, we are inherently bad of gauging our reps in reserve. We might think we are leaving 4 reps in reserve when in reality, we're only leaving, when in reality, we're leaving 7 reps in reserve, and then you're not in that range to actually stimulate the muscle for growth. So this is a huge, huge part of building muscle and actually gaining the results in the gym from the time and the effort and the energy and the money that you're putting into all of this. What is the AI version of me doing? Why is he holding a clipboard, you might ask? That's because he's looking at his numbers. He is making sure that whatever he did last time at the gym, he is going to be progressing, doing 1 more rep or 1 more kg. Now, I only started doing this in about 2021. Before 2021, so from the ages of 40 and up until 2021, I never really knew what I did in the previous session, if I was progressing. I never had anything written down. And the issue with that is that when you don't progress, when you aren't increasing, when you aren't making the exercise harder, then you will not be building muscle. There's one thing, training hard, yes, great. But if you aren't training hard consistently, then you will not be building muscle. We spoke just before about training hard and what that means and how to actually do that. If every single week you are lifting the exact same weight and doing the exact same reps, then you're not going to be hitting that 1 to 4 reps in reserve anymore. And if you're not going to be hitting that 1 to 4 reps in reserve anymore, you already know what's going to happen. You are not stimulating enough muscle to grow. And the reason why I started doing this was because I started taking training a little bit more serious. And I just thought it was common sense at the time. I was just like, do you know what? If I'm actually wanting to build my muscle, surely I'm going to need to actually do better than last time. And a huge reason of why I wasn't doing that in the past was because I never had a program. And so when I got to the gym, I would, like I said, I would just jump on whichever machine was free. And if I'm just jumping on whatever's free, then everything is randomized and I'm not consistently doing the same exercises. And when you're not consistently doing the same exercises, you are not going to be able to progress. And that is a huge part of building muscle. Progressive overload, actually making the exercise harder. And you can do this by either adding repetitions or adding weight. Over time, you're going to be obviously adding weight. When you look at your program from day 1 to day 30, you should have 100% increased the weight by then. But you can also increase the repetitions throughout. So for example, let's say you're doing an incline press, and on week 1, you pick up 20 kilo dumbbells and you hit 8 repetitions. Week 2, or whenever you next come back to that chest day or that push day, or you're just training that exercise, you might be doing a full body or whatever the program is, you need to be hitting at least 9 reps with that 20 kg. I would generally recommend to go up to that 10 reps, or if you can, even hit 12 repetitions, but you need to be increasing the repetitions for sure. Now, you can also have the argument to, once you hit 8 reps, increase the weight, go up to 22 kg and go for 6 reps. But one thing you need to be careful of, and you need to be wary of, is that you should not go below 5 repetitions. 5 repetitions is the minimum that you should be lifting every single time. If you are going to progress with the weight and you don't think you can even do 5 repetitions, don't bother. Just keep increasing the weight. Now, there are loads of different ways to progress. You can go 8 reps to 10 reps to 12 reps, then increase the weight. You can go 6 reps to 8 reps, then increase the weight. But the idea is, as long as you're increasing something, the reps or the weight, you are good. And over time, you will 100% be stimulating the muscle and training close to failure, because it's impossible not to train close to failure when you do this over a period of time. You will eventually, even if you don't train to failure on the first week or the second week, you will eventually get there, because you will max out what you can physically achieve. And that's how you're going to really stress the muscle and be able to grow. A huge part of building muscle and making the most out of the time that you spend in the gym is actually having good technique. Now, what does it really mean to have good technique? Because to be honest with you, you see so many people at the gym who think they have good technique but don't. And I was one of these guys. I used to train with my younger brother, and yes, I'm a coach and I know what I'm doing now and I'm more knowledgeable than him now. Yes, because it's what I do for a living. But before I ever knew what I was doing, he used to tell me off for not having good technique. And I was like, yeah, whatever. Like, I'm training hard. I'm progressing ish sometimes, plateauing sometimes, but whatever. I'm stubborn. I'm not going to listen to you and I'm just going to do my own thing. That's an issue. If you're stubborn, and you know you're stubborn, like myself, and you're going to watch this video thinking that even though you've used some of the fundamentals, some of the principles that I'm giving you, but you're not using all of them, then that's an issue. All of these together give you what you need, give you the results. If you are not listening to every single piece of this puzzle, then you will not get the results. It's as simple as that. And although I might have been doing some things right at the gym, I didn't have good technique. And so what is good technique? A big part of having good technique is very simply going through the full range of motion. Whenever you perform a movement, there are going to be two phases, essentially. You have the eccentric and the concentric. The concentric is when your muscle gets shortened, and the eccentric is when your muscles get lengthened. So we'll take this bicep curl as an example over here. As this guy is curling his way up, the dumbbell is coming up towards his shoulder, and his bicep muscle here is contracting. Okay, this is when the muscle is getting shortened. As he starts to lower the dumbbell, he's then going into the eccentric phase, the negative, and his bicep starts to get lengthened. And in order for you to go through that full range of motion, I want you to focus on getting that peak contraction at the top of the movement, and then getting that full stretch at the bottom of the movement. This means bending your arm as much as you can and extending in the contraction and extending your arm at the bottom of the position as much as you can. Now, this goes for every single exercise. In a lat pull down, you want to be going all the way up, all the way down. In a chest press, you want to be going all the way up, all the way down. I see so many people, so many guys, especially at the gym, who are performing the dumbbell press, and they don't bring the dumbbells low enough. Some exercises, the stretch part where the muscle gets lengthened is a lot more important. And any chest exercise, within any chest exercise, that is the most important part. So if you are not coming down all the way and bringing the dumbbell outside your chest, then you are really not going to make the most out of the movement. You're putting in all this time, all this effort, all this energy, because it's still going to be hard, but you are not maximizing the best practices and the best technique for the most amount of gains. You really want to make the most out of what you're doing in the gym. So go through that full range of motion, get that full stretch, and then push yourself back up. And if you don't know whether or not you're doing this, then take a video. Take a video of your technique. Ask yourself, can I go lower or can I go higher, depending on the movement? And if the answer is no, and if you know you can go through more range, if you are covering more distance within the movement, then you need to practice. If it means decreasing the weight, so be it. Your ego will take a hit, cool. But guess what? Over time, you're going to build more muscle. And then the only one who's laughing is you, because you might have had to go a little bit lighter, but now you've built muscle, you look good, and you feel amazing, and you're finally consistent at the gym, all because you started seeing the results. And a big part of that is going to be the fact that you went through that full range of motion and you had good technique. When you are working out, you must understand that you are really giving the muscle that you're training, the targeted muscle, you're giving it a lot of tension and you're working it really hard. And so you need an appropriate rest time for each exercise. Now, what does that even mean? Because you might hear things online telling you that you need 1 minute rest, or you need 2 minute rest, or you need 90-second rest for every single exercise. But brother, I'm telling you right now, it doesn't work like that. Every muscle group is different sizes, different amounts of fatigue, and are going to need different rest periods, different time lengths for them to recover in between each set. So when I boil it down to what is it? How do you know? When I boil down the rest times to how do you know if you're ready to go for the next set, it comes down to one thing. Can I do the same amount of repetitions as I did in the previous set? If you pick up a weight for set 1 and you do 10 reps, you need to get to the point in your rest break where you are no longer heavy breathing, your muscles aren't feeling fatigued, your target muscles and the synergist muscles, the muscles around it that are actually helping, and you feel fired up and ready to go and know that you can do another 10 reps. If you can tick all those boxes, then 100% go on to the next set. Any extra time is just wasted time at the gym, and you're obviously busy. You don't want to be spending forever working out. So there's no point spending extra time, but some muscles are going to need more time. Some muscles are going to need less time. I used to spend 30 seconds in between each set. Now, the issue with that is that, yeah, that might work well for calf raises, or that might work well for my side delt, especially when I was starting off and the muscle was a lot smaller. But as muscles get bigger, then you're going to need more rest time. That's why when you train chest, which is a big muscle, it's going to need a lot more time than your bicep. Okay, so depending on the exercise, the time length in between each set, the rest period, is going to change. And when I used to spend 30 seconds in between each set resting, then I'd go back to the next set and I wouldn't be able to hit the same amount of reps. And that was an issue, because if I rested an extra 30 seconds or an extra 1 minute, I don't know, who knows, because we weren't there at the time to know if I was actually ready, then I wasn't going to be training close to failure. And if I'm not training close to failure for the consecutive sets for the second and third set, that's a massive issue, because like we spoke about before, I'm not going to be building muscle. And that was a big reason why I wasn't building muscle back then. A huge part of doing everything right is doing everything right at the gym, 100%. And that is everything that we've gone through so far. Everything that we've gone through so far, okay, we've gone through training hard, we've gone through progressive overload, we've gone through having good technique, we've gone through having we've gone through your rest times in between each set. If you're doing all of those things right, but you are not hitting your protein target, if you are not consuming the right amount of food and the right food, then you will not be building as much muscle as you could. And then you're just going to be wasting your time. And so how do you actually work out your protein target? When I first started tracking my calories in 2021, I started using MyFitnessPal, and as well as tracking calories, it also gives you the amount of protein you're having. So you can start to see what foods have protein, how much food is in 100 grams of chicken, how much protein is in 100 grams of chicken, how much protein is in one egg, how much protein is in a slice of cheese, whatever. And so as you begin to see how much protein is in everything, you realize, actually, you're not eating enough. And how do you know you're not eating enough? So I'm going to give you the equation for you to know if you're eating enough protein on a day-to-day basis. So you want to get your lean mass to begin with. Your lean mass is essentially your body weight in kilograms, but with all the fat stripped off. So over here in this photo, I weigh about 73 kilos. Me, with all the fat stripped off, I'll probably say I weigh about 70 kilos. So it will be a little bit of an estimate here. If you want, you can use ChatGPT and you can ask him, take a picture of you and say, how much would I weigh if I had all my fat stripped off? And so 70 kilo, you get that number and you times that by anywhere between 1.4 and 2.2. That's the optimal range. Now, 70 kilo times 1.4 is going to be less optimal, but it's still going to be enough protein that's put me in the optimal range to build muscle. If I now times 70 by 2.2, now I've eaten the most amount of protein that's going to stimulate the most amount of muscle to grow, give me the best results for protein synthesis, and I will definitely be putting myself in the best position possible to build muscle. So once you've got your protein target, then you need to be tracking it and making sure that you're hitting it on a day-to-day basis. This is not like calories where we can focus on calories for the week. This is something that you need to focus on for each singular day. Every single day, are you hitting your protein target? If you're doing everything else right in the gym and you're hitting your protein target, then, my friend, the results are 100% going to follow. We spoke before about you not being consistent at the gym and how that's a massive issue. And so we need to put a system in place so that you are able to stay consistent, because you can do all of this that I've taught you, everything. But if you're not doing it, then you'll simply not get the results. You can do it for a week, you can do it for a month, you can do it for 3 months. But if you're not doing it over a long period of time, this is not going to become who you are, part of your lifestyle, and you are not going to see the results that you want. And so this over here is something that I like to call the decision removed. Okay? Why do you not go to the gym on the days that you don't? It's because you are negotiating with yourself. You get to the stage of, okay, I said I was going to go to the gym after work. All right, now it's after work, and I can't be bothered. Work's finished a little bit late, tired. It's been a long day, and there could be so many other reasons of why you don't show up to the gym. But we need that decision removed. We need that decision removed by a more responsible version of yourself. That responsible version of yourself is always going to come the night before. Hence why I, over here, I'm lying in bed, even though, yes, it's at the gym, and my bed is not in the gym. No, my bed is in my bedroom. We need the decision removed. And so over here, the night before, every single day, you are going to be penciling in your diary the exact time that you are going to the gym. Now, you work for someone, or you work for yourself, and when you go through your work day, you have a schedule to follow. You might have a meeting with your boss, you might have a meeting with a client, you might pencil in some time to do some admin work. Why do you do this? You do it so you get shit done, so that when the time comes, you're on autopilot and you follow through. And so having this penciled in your diary, having your training session written down in your diary, what time you're going, means that when it gets to that time, you are on autopilot and you go to the gym. And instead of negotiating with yourself and asking yourself if you can really be bothered to go, you just have to follow the plan. It's as simple as that. And so that's why it's so important to remove the decision before the easy option comes. Now, it's all very well having the decision removed the night before. Great. But for the longest time, you have been going to the gym without a definition of what consistency actually is. Now, for years, like I said, I went to the gym on and off. For years, I would go for 5-6 days a week, smash out the gym, and then stop. I had no definition. I had no realistic idea of what it meant to be consistent until I implemented this. Now, with myself, this is exactly what I do at the big age of 27, and this is exactly what all of my clients follow. And it's called the minimum standard. Once you have the decision removed and the minimum standard in place, it is impossible not to follow through. Now, the minimum standard means, or is, now the minimum standard is the fact that you are going to be hitting the gym 3 days a week. Now, I know that you can go to the gym 3 days a week, unless you're 50 years old and you have 8 kids and you run 4 businesses, which even then, these guys still manage to go to the gym. But unless you're that busy, I find it very hard to believe that you can't go to the gym 3 days a week. That's 3 hours a week from your schedule. It's realistic, it's doable, and it's the shortest amount of time that you can go and actually get results. For the longest, I would go to the gym for 5 days, 4 days a week, and I'd push so hard, I'd be in pain afterwards and I wouldn't return. Or I would set myself a target of going to the gym for 5 days a week, but then when it came to the following week and I only went 3 days, I'd then be like, oh, fuck, I messed up. Oh, no, I didn't go all in. And so that means not going at all the following week. But no, you need to go a minimum of only 3 days a week. Once you've got that in place and you've written down what time you're going to go the day before, then you will go to the gym on a consistent basis because you've set yourself a standard. And if you think that 3 days a week just doesn't sound like enough to actually get you results, let me tell you right now, this compounds. It starts like 3 days a week, but then it goes into 6 days. Then you're going to the gym 9 days. Then all of a sudden you're at the gym for 12 days a month. And over time, you're getting 1% better every single gym session. And once you start getting 1% better every single day, every single week, every single month, every single year, you actually turn into somebody who follows through. Looking good is great. It's fantastic. I'll be lying to you if I said that I didn't like the way I looked and it didn't give me confidence to walk around topless or walk around in a t-shirt that actually fitted me rather than having to wear an oversized one. But the looks is truly just a byproduct of what you get from following all these core principles and the basic fundamentals. Of course, you don't want to be overweight. Of course, you'd rather be lean and have that aesthetic build. But the biggest reason of why you need to go to the gym and build muscle and why you actually need to implement everything that I've just given you isn't so that you look good in a t-shirt or so that you walk down the beach and you feel great and you look great and you're happy that people are looking at you and are envious of you. But it's because you finally become somebody who does what they say they're going to do. For so many years, I struggled with consistency. I struggled with going to the gym. I would tell myself that this is my year, and I would constantly fall off. And because of this, I lost belief. I lost trust within myself. I wasn't showing myself proof that I was capable to actually follow through and do well, not just in the gym, but with everything else in my life. And so once I started becoming consistent and I implemented all of these principles, then I eventually became somebody who sticks to his word. And now when I do something and I follow through. I dictate where I'm going to go. I have full control over my life. And there is no better feeling, especially as a man. There is no better feeling of knowing that you have the power to do anything in life. And so if there's one big takeaway that you can take from this video, it's not that we need to look good. Don't get me wrong, we love to look good. But it's so that we actually take control of our life and of our destiny, and that we dictate what's going to happen in the future, not anything else around us, not the government, not schools, not your parents, not anything. You are in control. And once you take accountability, and once you take that accountability on, then life just gets so much better. So I really, really hope that you follow all of these core principles, all of these core fundamentals, and you take them on and you use them, because in 6 months' time, you will be unrecognizable. And if you do need help with any of this, I'll put a link down below in the description where you can book a call We can talk about one-to-one coaching. But I hope you enjoyed the video. I really hope you actually take away all of the information that I'm giving you and use it to your advantage. Because like I said, you'll become a whole new person once all of this is executed. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll definitely see you in the next video.